Yeah, we're back on the YouTube grind. I think that YouTube obviously is super important. For me, I got so caught up in operations because my business has been growing. We've had a lot of brands that have come and wanted to work with us. And with that, I guess there's never an excuse. I could have kept putting out content. But when I first started marketing online, I honestly thought that I was more of a marketer. And as I've grown and evolved, I've realized that I'm actually more of an operator than I am an actual marketer, which is interesting. I mean, obviously, as an entrepreneur, we have to wear all these different hats, but where I excel the most is building these complex systems that, quite frankly, I don't see other teams even coming close to what we
Agree.
construct.
I think the agency space in general, but the Amazon space in general, it's the most sophisticated part is what Excel formulas.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
the
I think we have to break it down because when I look at the general Amazon agency, a lot of them are siloed out. So you have PPC. I call it the four core, right? So we have PPC, we have SEO, we have creative, and then we have the catalog. And
yeah.
what I notice with a lot of larger brands is one, either they have an in-house team that doesn't have really strong structuring. They think they do. When I look at it, I'm like, yo, what is this? And two, they'll either have different teams for each component of it. So they'll have a conversion rate team, they'll have a PPC team, they'll have someone managing the catalog. Sometimes it'll be a hybrid of both. And I align with you in terms of PPC. I think PPC, for me, it's not that complex. Like, obviously, there's a lot of strategies involved, but it's just mathematics, right? It's just formulas, Excel, understanding. Um, where I see most people make mistakes on PPC is not necessarily in simple adjustments or structure. It's more their interpretation of the data. And a lot of the brands tend to optimize off the wrong principles and off the wrong information, which causes them to not grow nearly as fast as they should be.
I love we're getting so deep so fast because I agree 100%. I think, first of all, PPC is seen so wrongly in the space because they put PPC as one part. They don't think about if your listing is shit, PPC doesn't even matter as much, as bad as that sounds. But if your image does, it's not great. If you don't have good reviews, if you're priced, if you're not price competitive, your PPC is going to suffer. I mean, I just had a call with a client, right? And he's struggling with the PPC part. He's not a client yet. He just asked us for an audit because he's struggling with his current agency. And I told him PPC is not your problem. You guys have a conversion rate problem, and you haven't touched the listing. You haven't updated anything that has to do with conversion rate. So basically, it's simple math. This is how I explain conversion rate, right? The better conversion rate, the more profitable you are. Because where it used to take you 20 clicks to convert, now it takes you 5. So you're 4 times more profitable, as crazy as that sounds. So it's really how you said data is great if you interpret the right data. Most people have 20 data points. They don't understand what they are and what to optimize. Because PPC is one part, listing creation is one part, copywriting is another part. All of them are important. And if some of them lack, PPC and overall sales suffer. And I think another issue with agencies, for my opinion, not just agencies, service providers, is they get too technical with clients. I don't think clients really care exactly how you do it. They care about, am I growing sales? Am I growing profit? Is my brand more equitable than it was last year? And are you saving me time, money, and hassle? That's at least the way I see it.
In theory, I agree with you. In practicality, what I notice, especially when we're dealing with brands at like 50 mil or 100 mil, they trust you more. So like you don't have to justify everything that you do. But I do find that they are very nosy into how we're delivering our
I
results.
agree. Yeah.
And I also see it like on the small guys too, where it depends on who you're working with and the client persona. And for me, I stopped working with the smaller brands. Like I don't take brands on that are under 7 figures anymore because it's like they expect me to be their professor, so like they want me to justify every single thing that I'm doing. And I'm okay justifying, but I don't want to go in depth and explain every single thing that I'm doing. Yet, that to pull it all back into the YouTube thing, like, okay, well, I'm an extreme ownership guy, and if these people have confusion, I should make some sort of YouTube content around it to answer that question, to be able to deliver it to them when they ask it. So, I think that I'm also incorporating that kind of element into like my content as I move forward. So I can just like, all right, check out this video, watch it, and you'll understand. Um, it's crazy. You would think that, like, from a logical standpoint, the only thing that matters would be our results.
It's
Like,
not.
it's crazy. Like, I think a lot of brands really, it helps a lot, obviously. Like, for me, I'm blessed in having a very low churn rate. So like in the last 4 months, I've only had I had 0% churn, 0% churn, like 5% churn, 0% churn, which is very, very,
And by
very.
the way, just to put it in perspective, that is very low because some people can say, oh, 5%. No, no. 5% is what a good agency many times has monthly to have no churn monthly at your size. Because, of course, if you have a one client, we don't call that an agency, that's a freelancer. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not an agency. But when you get to a certain size, to have a month without churn is very, very rare.
Yeah, yeah. As I've joined more masterminds, so like for me, I believe in information is the fastest accelerator, and I prioritize spending. Like for me, I look at my P&L and it's like, I think a lot of rational people are like, holy fuck, you spend that much money on information. But I legitimately have coaches in like every area of my life, whether it be business or personal life or, losing weight or you name it, I have a coach for it, which has accelerated my growth in all areas. So to tie that, I guess to tie it all back in is, I have invested a lot of money in understanding how to best deliver our services. And given my tech background, like I've been in tech for 10, 11 years. So I built on Instagram, I built a program back in 2011,
No shit.
um, that would like photos all day long on Instagram, right? So there was no rate limit back then. So we could do 100,000 likes per day per account. And I got a few servers in Europe, and, let's just say I scaled that, and I basically owned Instagram's traffic for a little bit of time.
Wow.
And, throughout time, you skill stack these, things that you develop and program. And right now in particular is such a beautiful opportunity when we include AI. Like, it's
Yeah.
absolutely insane. If we use Zapier, we use Make, we use N8N, we use Cursor, all these beautiful tools allow us to, or allow, our team to essentially purchase information, take that information and implement it into repeatable and scalable systems, and then deliver that to the brands across our catalog. So it's fun now because we're at the point, I'm sure y'all are too, where you're just completely skill stacking, getting better systems and structures. And when you're auditing this brand, like you can see things really well,
It's
right? Like
patents. Yeah.
we come in and we're just like, it's a significant change. So it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's been really cool to see these systems stack up and be repeatable and allow the business to like actually run as like I don't want to say an AI model because there's humans in the loop, but it's essentially like it really is turned into like a robot. It's crazy.
Well, you probably because your tech background, your AI like really made your life easier. Because if you have some background in tech and programming, AI has really made things easier. Like you don't even need to code anymore if you understand AI, which is crazy.
One of my mentors, so I was very into gaming, right? So when I was growing up, that's what got me into a lot of the tech stuff. I was a big Modern Warfare guy, played World of Warcraft. I typed slash played in World of Warcraft. I spent over a year and 6 months sitting at the computer grinding.
Wow,
Insanity, right?
wow,
But through that, I was a gold trader. So I would go into the markets. I understood how the markets worked. I would purchase inventory on different servers, and then I would distribute and take over different servers' marketplaces. And then I built bots that we would purchase items and flip them. And, I was basically a gold vendor for World of Warcraft. Same thing for RuneScape. I was flipping items. And, from that, you develop like so much stackable
skill.
skills that apply in e-commerce.
Well, that's a question I want to ask, right? Because most, how long have you had Giga Brands for?
So Giga Brands is about 3 years old now. I've been on. We've been scaling the agency portion.
And it's Amazon only, right? It's you
Yeah,
specialize in Amazon.
I'm 100% focused in Amazon. I feel like it's to be the best at something. I mean, Hormozy says it. A lot of the big names say it. We only have so many hours.
Mhm.
Realistically, we only have so many hours, and at this point in time, I invest all my time in being the absolute best at building a creative first funnel inside of Amazon that self improves based on data feedback loops inside of Amazon. So, what does that mean? Well, that means that I have built custom scrapers that scrape all the reviews. I have custom scrapers that not only go on Amazon, but we also go off of Amazon, go to Google. We build out modeling of their customer avatars. We scrape all the competitors. I build out from an ASIN level different models based on the markets. And then
Wow.
from there, that allows us to build literally the best creative inside the market and create data feedback loops that allow us to improve based on click through and conversion from an ASIN level. And that allows us to tie it down deep into the Amazon's algorithm. So 180-day search volume, relevancy, keywords. And I don't feel as if anyone can compete at the level that we're competing at inside this niche if you're also focused in different markets. It's just
Exactly.
you don't have enough
Well,
time in the day.
that's my point. If you because Amazon people think it's easy. If you actually go in deep in Amazon, there's so many intricacies. There's so many things that can be done. And I agree. I think where people get confused is they've seen an agency doing Amazon, they do it on a very base level. Because I always say there's different level of services and agencies in every business. You have the guys who do just your PPC and they're managing it, but they're more of a manager than an agency. Then you have people who do your full management, but still they're more managers. And then you have people that actually go deep, not only from the PPC, the ads, and the listing creation, but more of the profit and loss. Are you making more money? Is your business actually exitable? What's your EBITDA? Like all of these components, like you know what I mean?
I've had multiple fights with clients this year where they're like, "Oh my god, my tacos has gone up," and I'm like, I break down because like for us, exactly what you're saying. We act as growth partners, so I take a look. I go down to the P&L level, and I'm taking a look at what is the profit, what is the breakdown, and then building models
Mhm.
to based on our data that we have from all these other brands that we've scaled, what it's going to cost us to rank for these keywords, what's the velocity going to be, what can we expect from a growth standpoint. And there are brands that we have scaled where tacos might move up 20 or 30%, but their profit moves up 50% and they still fucking bitch.
Yeah.
I don't mean to come off rude. And I'm like, yo, like I'll break it down. I'll have a meeting and I'll break it down. I'm like, can you help me understand your perspective a little bit deeper? Because when I'm looking at the books and the structure, even including our fees, you're significantly more profitable. You have more sales, you have more sales velocity, and you're taking up more market.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, to me sometimes it blows my mind the KPIs and like the focus people have on the wrong metrics like ACOS, tacos. When at the end of the day, with the exception of some strategies, obviously there are specific strategies that can change it. Like brands should be focused on their P&L, right? Like
100%.
what is your profit? What are you going to be worth when you go to exit?
Yeah.
How are you structuring your book so that you'll be, highest multiple if that's on your books or like if it's on your plan. If it's not on your plan, how can we structure it so, you're making the most cash or, do you
Exactly.
have low capital? Then maybe we go for higher profitability. Like, so, there's obviously a lot of different variables there, but for the general 70, 80% of brands, maybe even 90% of brands, the focus typically is how much money can we make you, by the end of, every year.
Well, that's the thing. There's so many intricacies, right? Because I really do believe for e-commerce brands, the real money is made if we're talking about money on the exit. Now you can be cash flow positive, but obviously with growth, a lot of cash is being eaten. But the exits are where the real money is made, in my opinion, in my experience, right? That being said, there's nothing wrong if you just want to smash it cash flow wise and profit wise, because usually if you do that, you're more exitable anyway. But for me, Amazon is a domination game. As you know, the top 5 spots make so much more money than the 30th spot. So it's really only the few really eat. Everyone else they eat, but they kind of survive. So for me, is what is your dominance on Amazon? Yes, you're growing, but are you dominating that? At
Yeah,
least
so
that's what
I focus on the top 14 organic ranks. So average consumer scroll typically hits the top 14 organic spots. So anything other than that, it almost doesn't irrelevant to me. No one's going to page, past that scroll to purchase. So I focus on taking brands
yeah,
that have good and scalable product, and that means qualifying the brand. Like we just had a brand literally 3 months ago came to us. They're at 50K or 55K a month. We
yeah,
scaled them to 90K a month, and they ran out of inventory in 3 months. And that's with
yeah,
us communicating, and it's like, okay, in order to properly scale with us, you really need to have inventory down, because that product that we scaled is one product.
yeah.
That product we scaled could have hit a quarter million a month, right? And
Exactly.
like that
Because momentum
trajectory
is
was
yeah, yeah,
continuing to grow. So for me, I focus on Pareto's principle. I think a lot of teams do, right? So 80% of the sales typically comes from 20% of the catalog. And a lot of times in Amazon, it's 90
yeah,
10.
10%. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So, but that's the thing, is like, it really should be closer to 80-20, like based on catalogs. And a lot of teams are at 90 10, which is fine,
yeah.
just because of the way Amazon is set.
Hmm.
You have all these models that you're putting in place, right? And then you're scaling these financial models. For me, I try to identify what have the most potential from a financial modeling standpoint. Based on our data, what do we think that we can rank it to in the organics 1 through 14 based on each keyword? And what would the projected ROI be if we do manage to take those ranks? And from there, we can evaluate, hey, what products in your catalog are actually worth our time in scaling? So when I take on brands, typically I'll focus anywhere from 4 to 8 products at a time
Okay.
from a brand level, and that's
Yeah,
more than enough to make massive improvements to the bottom line.
I agree. A question for you, right? So, when you started the agency, because I think a lot of people, you're an interesting one because you used to be very active on YouTube. You're not as active anymore. I see you on LinkedIn a lot, which I love. I see great content on LinkedIn. But what was your first acquisition channel when you started, and what is it now? Because it changed drastically, I imagine.
Yeah, so I have gotten some of my best clients from YouTube. I find YouTube is an amazing acquisition funnel. I didn't know who I wanted to work with at the time when I started building YouTube. And YouTube generally gets me leads that are starting off. They're really nice people, they want to build, but they're not at the level of intricacy that I typically look for in a partner now that my systems have advanced to the point where they are now. So I'd stopped focusing on YouTube for two reasons. One, well, actually three. One, um, the leads that was getting are typically newer leads. Now
Yeah.
I had like a lead come in that was a tape vendor. We took them. They were at 30K a month when they came. They actually didn't even want to sell on Amazon. They're like, they just like had their store up and they were doing 30K. This month we hit 180,000 or
Wow.
170,000, right? And they've been with us for about 14 months or 13
Wow.
months. So we literally took them almost an 8x, and they they have crazy margins. So when he goes to sell that business, yeah, he better be writing me a little extra sauce over there. Um, so it's not to say that you can't get good leads from YouTube. I think YouTube is great. I shifted, so my experience actually is in a lot of B2B.
Okay.
So as I've built better systems, I realized, well, I took the philosophy, if I can be better than the in-house teams for top 200, top 100, top 300 Amazon sellers, that means that I can just knock on the door of all these other sellers. I don't want to say make fun of them, but that's kind of what it's kind of come down to. Is I take a call, I look at their store, and I would say almost 80 to 90%, probably 90% of the stores I look at have critical things wrong with them that would impact their bottom line yearly
Yeah.
pretty significantly. Across our catalog, our average growth per brand on the small side is like 40 to 60% year over year, which is just phenomenal, especially with the amount of brands that we manage. So it really came down to, how can I find more people that are at 7 figures now
Yeah.
that have the potential to hit 8 9 figures? And
Hmm.
for me, that was to build literally like a sales outreach sales funnel. So for me, I take data sets and understand, based on algorithms, like who do I feel that we can scale. And then I reach out to those brands and offer to basically take a look at their whole business, restructure things, show them my case studies. And then from there, build partnerships. So the majority of my acquisition as an agency comes from literally cold outreach.
Which is crazy. You see, this is why I love to do these type of things. Because if you ask 99% of people now on LinkedIn, they'll be like, "No, cold outreach doesn't work," or "You do only YouTube." Yet, the way you're doing cold outreach is much more sophisticated than just saying, "Hey, hello, this is agency X. We're doing this." You're actually, this is my ideal customer. This is my avatar. I know I can help these guys. I can show them right away how I can help them. And at that level of a brand, because that's the thing, the bigger the brand, the more impact you can make. 20% on 2 million makes a difference. 20 on a 200, 300 profit, 20, 30% makes a difference.
I look at it just as StarCraft 2. So in StarCraft 2, there's different leagues you play in, right? You have bronze, and you have silver, then you have diamond, then you have platinum, or it's platinum then diamond, right? So you have these different ranks.
Yeah.
As you start leveling up and getting into the higher leagues, people start having things planned in advance, right? So you have systems and structures you build out. So people have hotkeys. So Command C, for instance, is a copy, like
Yeah.
on your computer. For me, I have built all the hotkeys and all the structures in the path to be way better than 99.9% of brands. So the difficult part is getting me on the phone with someone, right? Getting me in that conversation piece. And once it's to that point, it tends to be pretty easy, because sitting on a call with me for 60 minutes, it's like, okay, this is a no-brainer. This guy's cheaper than my in-house team. This guy's more efficient than my in-house team. And he also will buy a shit ton of my time back.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
that's
Like that's like actually a massive component, right? Like
well, exactly.
what
Yeah.
to me, unless I get in-house concepts for the larger brands, because some parts you don't want to always outsource everything, and I
And even
get
on an
that.
exit, sometimes if they have an agent, some companies might be like, okay, for an exit, but that's solvable. But if you have an in-house team, you might look more valuable for an exit.
Yeah, that is a very true component to it. One, you have two, you have more control. And it's interesting now you mentioned that the software component also is a big thing that they're looking
Yeah.
at now.
The
Like,
tech plays a huge
do
play.
you have proprietary software on that? But yeah, I agree. There is a time and place to have an in-house team. If you're under seven figures, like I don't even like. I would say $2-3 million is where you would be like, okay, I'm going to consider
Yeah.
bringing some people on. But even
The
then,
issue,
it's
the issue
it's
for me, right? And sorry to interrupt you, Hunter, but the issue for me for in-house team is that who's training these people? Like, okay, I get an in-house team, but I'm not getting Hunter as an in-house team. He runs an agency, right? So I'm going to get someone that I have to teach. I don't know Amazon PPC, so that's the first issue. My level of Amazon advertising and Amazon understanding might not be at the level I can even teach, let alone manage. Because if you have an in-house team, you have to manage them. They're employees. They're not an agency. When you get a business as an agency, and if you've done your due diligence and you gave them the proper time and you jump on a call with them and see if they know their stuff, not only you're saving time, you're saving management. Like, I don't have to manage an agency if it's the right one. I don't want to manage Hunter, right? He has staff, he manages. So for me, it's a big component, that part. And going back to the exit point, any private equity is going to buy you. If they look at the agency and they stay on, that's already added into the overheads anyway. So it doesn't really change the financial part. And I
yeah,
believe if
yeah,
you
no,
get
100%. And the time cost of money, I think that's a big component too, where people try to build teams. It's like 3, 4, 5 months, and they get shit results, and they have to hire someone like me to come back in. So I actually have this tattooed on my back: Atomic Habits, 1% better every day over the course of a
James
year,
Clear,
37 times stronger, right?
yeah,
But there's the inverse. If you're 1% worse every day over the course of a year, you're actually 3% of. You're literally at 3%.
yeah, yeah,
So understanding that the compounding in both directions is very critical. I find the smartest entrepreneurs that I work with understand that concept really well. They're very, very understanding of, okay, if I make a bad hire, this is the worst thing I can do for my business, and I need to properly vet the team that I'm working with. So I tend to notice that the smartest entrepreneurs I work with come and ask me very deep and intricate questions of structuring my team, how I'm building things, you know, because once they make that right choice, they've now placed that piece and they can focus on, building different parts of the, I guess, imaginary sandcastle. I like to think we're building sandcastles on the beach, because at the end of the day, none of this stuff really matters. It's just fun, right? So
I agree. Yeah.
I can build one part of this sandcastle, and then someone can build. They can go focus on the other part. But the bigger, the smarter, and the more powerful the entrepreneur, I find the better they are at making those key hires from either an agency or a team member, where they can let that person build part of the sandcastle that they're really good at, and they don't need to fucking go in there and be like, well, I don't think the window should look like this. It's just like, all right, like, well, bro, do you want money or not? Right. I actually just had a client, the one, very rare that I have clients that come on and they're like very difficult to work with, because I'm very, very particular about who I take on. This client seemed like he was going to be a great, fit.
Yeah.
We implemented changes that, in my, like, they made better impact for click through and conversion,
Hmm.
and had improved his store.
Yeah.
But then he got really mad at us because he said that it wasn't up to his standard in terms of, quality,
And
which
of course,
I'm
it's
very
an
upfront about
imaginary
when I take
standard.
over brands. Like, I'm like, hey, I am very good at the psychology and positioning of the marketing piece. My branding is probably 80%, right? If you're like a super brand heavy brand,
Yeah.
you're going to want your in-house team to polish this up. Like,
Hmm.
that's just how it is, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a branding agency. I'm a make you money agency on Amazon. um, so like sometimes I guess it all boils down like, yo, like, if this improved your click through and conversions by 20%, and like, why are you getting so upset?
What is the goal? There's a lot of ego always at play, especially when it comes to creative part. For me, a good image is the one that converts, right? That's all I care. For me, it's the market who speaks. Because you can have the best image looking, but your conversion rate goes down. That's not a good image for me. Because I'm here to, as you said, make brands money. Because you can charge based on what you provide as value, right? That's great to know, but how can you actually prove that? If you come to me and you say, I'm going to bring you 100 grand extra, can you pay me 20K? Of course. Yeah. But it's putting it in actual action and repeating that is a difficult part, and explaining it, because how you say something, it matters.
Yep, and I think that goes all the way back down to our previous conversation, where it's not always about the results. A lot of it is, we're obviously, results drives a big portion of it,
Of course.
but a lot of times we have to do this as an agency. Kind of have to do this dance where it's just like, hey,
Exactly. But
we're
you
making
also,
you money, like, and you really gotta like for me, how I run my business now, because I hired an agency for my brand when I was just starting out on Amazon, and they were trash. It was part of the reason why I ended up building my team. And just remembering how bad they were at explaining what was going on. Keep in mind, like, yeah, I was probably the type of client that I would definitely not want. Like, I was like, what's going on in the PPC? Like, what keywords? But like, I wanted some sort of explanation. And to be fair, I was offering more money. Like, I was like, hey, I'll pay you more money if you give me detailed explanations. But they
they
just
couldn't.
they never were able to provide it to us. So when I built my business, I was like, okay, as a brand owner, what do I need to know to feel extremely comfortable? And with that, a lot. Like, I want to know everything that's going on from a task level. I want to know, like, the strategy, not necessarily the changes from a PPC and keyword level, but what went wrong, what went right, what's improving. So the way our reporting is depending on the brand. Some brands want it weekly, monthly, bi-weekly. Some brands don't even freaking care.
Yeah. I
I would
love
say
it.
those ones are probably more in like the 1 month range, but with that, I cater to that, right? Like, I have no problem, because
Of course.
when you look at my systems, I go as granular as, I'm tracking my hours per client, and then I'm breaking down the retainers and understanding what my hourly rate is per person. And then I break down per task level, how expensive is it for me from each department and each position, and where am I wasting time? And I compound that. So I do audits on my time all the time. I do audits myself. I track everything. I'm a freaking data freak, man. You look at me, I honestly, I tried showing my mom my spreadsheets, like, because I was like, Mom, check this out. She was like, what the hell is this? Like, this is crazy. It's like, I have all my habits broken down. I have time slots. I have, like trackers. I have all this stuff, right? And now I also track like what I'm doing on the business, like podcasts, meetings, internal meetings, right? And then I map out what's the impact to the business, what's the impact, and not only the impact to my business, but I map out what is the impact to me from an energy level. Is this moving my energy up? Is this moving my energy down? Do I really like doing this? Right.
I love
And then
that.
from there, I have different ways. I'm either going to systemize it, I'm going to eliminate it, I'm going to delegate it, or it doesn't even need to be done. Right.
I love
So
that.
when you compound that over the course of 3 years or 2 years, right, you start building really efficient systems, strong delegation systems. And it's just, how are you going to compete with me? How are you going to compete with the kid that works 120 hours a week on Amazon? I wake up in the morning, I open up Slack. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's other people out there like me, and you obviously, right? Um, but it in the
No, but
day of AI, where we're able to move so fast, I believe the moat between people like us and the casual Amazon teams is just going to get way bigger.
oh, I agree. But that's why I always debate. Like people say, oh, but Amazon is getting harder. Yes and no. It's getting harder for the people who are 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Because my level of Amazon now understanding is much higher than a year ago. Like for me, Amazon got easier from the level of understanding. Now, yes, CPC is going up, all of that stuff. We know that. But as you said, if you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, if you're a TikTok agency, Amazon agency, Walmart agency, unless you really are a huge, huge agency that has teams, has a hunter, has a Mina that can do that, that's different, right? If I, for example, if I have an Amazon, if I have a Google PPC agency, but I have the top guy at Google PPC managing that, maybe you can get away with it. But you need to be at a certain scale. And I would always put my chips with people who specialize in one thing to be better.
Yeah, exactly. With the exception of like breaking down PPC, SEO, and stuff, because that needs synergy. So like in Amazon, you need definitely Amazon specialist, but in my opinion, if you don't have a full team in synchronicity, you're kind of spinning wheels, and you're definitely not
PPC
going to be
only
able to
for
hit
me
all the
doesn't
points.
exist. But when I hear PPC only agency, I'm like, maybe you don't understand Amazon. As harsh as that sounds, because PPC without the listing, the catalog, the SEO, like, I mean, that's most of it, right? PPC for me, as crazy as it sounds, is one of not the last and most important, but you can get PPC wrong and do well if you get everything else right. Like PPC is a huge lever, but if you get everything, if the listing is not good, if the conversion rate not as, if your conversion rate is 1%, 2%, you're burning money. Nothing will save you, right? So if you don't
Yeah,
fix that, it's no point. If your product doesn't
it's a
fit the
funnel
market,
issue.
yeah, if your product doesn't fit the market, if your price super uncompetitive, the PPC doesn't matter. PPC is only traffic. Do you see it or not? Yes, you can mess up with keywords, of course, but this is something I always say. If you're if you're selling a keyboard and you're advertising the keyword as watch, most people won't click for watch. So yes, you might get some overspenders, but that's not going to be the number one issue. I guarantee you. If everything else is right and that's the only mistake you have, your product will do okay. At least that's my experience.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I mean, when you look at the algorithm from a fundamental level, right? We have the most important metrics is your click through, your conversion rate. Those are probably almost 40% of the algorithm.
Yeah.
And then you have 180-day sales volume, which is just a massive part too.
Hmm.
So it comes into PPC is the lever to push you into those other,
Yeah.
build that flywheel. But
Hmm.
that's literally what it is. And looking at it as a tool to put gasoline on the fire in the correct manner is really critical. And as you're mentioning, if you're PPC only, you're not breaking down from a keyword level what is performing, what isn't performing, why.
Yeah.
How do I improve that in order to rank on that? And in order to dominate inside of PPC when we're going for top 14 spots, top 5 spots, the most critical thing that we look at is, are we the best click through and conversion in the market for our, whatever pricing category we're in, from the premium, normal, right? So
Exactly.
in theory, if we have the best click through and conversion rate, I can spend the most money on PPC and I'll bleed my competitors dry. Now, a
True.
lot of brands don't have that aggressive, I'm aggressive, right? Because I know that they wouldn't be able to keep it up. Sure, some brands will bleed, like they'll I never underestimate the stupidity sometimes of some Amazon sellers, because they'll just like, I'm like, what are you doing over there? But like, typically speaking, they're not going to go 3 to 6 months bleeding money. They might do it for a month or two because they're trying to get you to push off of those ranks. But that's when you come in. It's psychology too, right? Like, we have to put our mind in the competitor's mindset too. And if you can establish dominance from that perspective, typically they're going to respect it. And
Yeah.
that's what I notice a lot of American sellers do to the Chinese is they're like, the Chinese, they're just going to keep spending money, so let's not even go for it. That's exactly where they want you to be at, you
And that's why
know?
they're winning on a lot of the categories. That's exactly why they're winning. And also the excuse of, oh, they're getting their products much cheaper. You can beat them. Like I've
Cheaper.
seen,
They cheat the taxes
yeah.
when they get that shit over here. They saying they ain't paying much for it. So unfortunately, the playing field isn't level for American sellers yet. I mean, from my experience, and I work with majority. I mean, all the large brands we work with are actually American based. They're competing as Chinese sellers, and
Oh, I
we're
love
doing
this.
great.
What you mentioned now. So American based, meaning they manufacture this stuff in the States.
Oh, no, 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 no! All that shit all that stuff's coming from
Exactly.
China. No,
Exactly.
we have most of it's from China. Some of the sellers that I'm working with are moving and building. They're building
Other
factories now in the
products. Yeah.
states. Um, I do have sellers, obviously. I would say not in the top seller ranks,
Yeah.
but good 7-figure sellers that do have everything based in the states, and that does it makes things a lot easier, to be honest, because we don't have supply chain issues. We have, we can put that American flag on everything, and it's like,
There's
yeah,
edges. I agree. There's definitely edges to it, and I think there will be guys who get the top one spot, like UK made, US made. It is more difficult from a price. Yeah, the P&L is very different, but you also have advantages. People, I think, now are at the point that they're happy to pay more for the US stuff. Like there's a certain level of pride, patriotism. Same with the UK. I stay in the UK. Same thing. Like, oh wow, this is English. I'm happy to pay 5, 10, 20, $30 more. So and there's a certain, and popular to contrary belief, Amazon loves premium products if done right. Like premium products can sell very well on Amazon.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I look at it from myself. When I'm searching on Amazon, I typically don't ever buy the cheapest item. I typically am buying the most premium item, even as an experienced seller. And like it boils down to the time cost value of time, right? So if I order something and it comes and it sucks,
Yeah.
like for me, I order shit. I'm not returning it, even if it's $80. You think I got fucking time to go down to UPS and fucking
Print a
return it? Like,
label.
okay, I've been going to Whole Foods lately, so like maybe I'll start returning something now that it's getting a little bit more convenient. But the point is, like, and I say this all the time, like, and I don't want to say like if I drop the $100 bill, I'm not going to bend over and pick it up, because I do, but my time is incredibly valuable now. So I mean, it always is the most precious commodity. $40, like, I'm not even gonna even let that enter my mind. If my hourly rate's $500 and I spend 30 minutes trying to return a package that's $40, I just lost $250.
And you're not having fun.
Not having fun, one, and two, that's my current cost of time.
Yeah,
That shit compounds.
yeah.
I'm gonna be a cool. I ain't. It's not gonna. Today's rates ain't gonna be tomorrow's rates. So I'm already. Like for our structure, I've changed my structure now to be a lot heavier on the performance side.
Yeah.
So I do take performance incentives on the brand, and I know that's been one of the best decisions I've made this year, because that's where we drive significant growth.
So that's a very good point. So I imagine even the pricing structure has changed over the years, right? Because at the beginning, when you're not that confident about your service, or you're just starting out, you're like, okay, I'm going to do just a retainer. Then you're like, okay, I'm having a retainer, but I 3x the brand and I'm making the same money with triple the work. It doesn't make sense. So imagine right now you structure something like X amount of retainer plus a percentage of sales or percentage of profit, or I imagine you structuring something like that.
Yeah, and it's funny that most of my clients come at a smaller retire. Define small. So most of my clients come in at a few thousand,
Yeah.
and then I would say the majority of my clients are around 6 to 7K retainers.
Yeah.
So a lot of them come in, like they want to get their feet wet, and then they move up packages. Um, it's yeah, it's pretty much where it is. I would say when I started on Amazon, I was severely undercharging. One, because I was trying to like accumulate more case studies and just work and such. Looking back, I mean,
It was a
you're
mistake, right?
getting you're getting an exchange, right?
Yeah.
So someone's hiring me. If I was charging 1,500 a month at the time, you have to know I'm not the best Amazon guy on the market, right? So like you're betting on me as a human, which was good bets for these brands, but typically speaking, that's not a bet that I would take as an experienced entrepreneur. Like
But that's
I
a
would rather pay
very
a
good
brand
point.
4 to 5K a month that is experienced, that I know is going to accelerate my growth quickly without fucking around. That doesn't have these struggles. That already has the airplane built. So yeah, my pricing has definitely increased as I've scaled, which is nice. It's
Yeah. How many brands are you working with right now?
right now we have about 30 brands,
Mhm.
a little over 30 brands. And yeah, I would say we still have some smaller brands we're working with, but I would say almost 90% are at least 100K a month now.
Are you comfortable sharing revenue figures and that type of stuff?
Yeah, so from the agency side in December, we hit 100K a month. So, we're what would you call a 7-figure agency. I believe that's going to change a lot this year now that I've switched to more performance based on top. So, my goal with the agency side is to hit 1 million a month.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to get more. uh, I want to take more equity in brands that I'm building, right?
Yeah,
So I do consider equity partnerships and
of course.
structuring, and ultimately, I've been talking to more private equity companies too, and taking capital and just acquiring and flipping brands is also something I'm looking at. Cautious because obviously the aggregator model hasn't turned out amazing
Well,
for all brands, but
I
I
have
think
a
that's a
debate with
skill
that.
issue.
I agree. So the Thrasium model, and nothing wrong with them, but a lot of they thought they would get a bestseller and keep it at that without putting the work in. I wish it worked like that. Amazon need to be on it all the time. So I think they were great at raising money from that perspective. They understood profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow. What they were lacking is the skills of okay, how do I actually compete on Amazon and stay the bestseller? Because the most money doesn't always win on Amazon as we've seen.
Yeah.
Because if it did, the aggregator model would be still well and alive, which there are still
Well,
aggregators, by the way.
they also had fundamental business issues. So they built their KPIs around growth,
Yeah,
and
not
some
profit.
yeah, some departments had misaligned incentives. So they were growing like in fudging numbers, and basically from my understanding of what happened, obviously I wasn't the one in the business. I've only kind of heard,
Yeah,
but from the leadership, when you have top down issues, you don't really hear about these things at the bottom until it
it's
starts
too late.
shit starts burning,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh fuck. So yeah, but I do believe that's more of a skill issue. I especially now, with the tools we have, the systems. Um,
What is your because you're so close on Amazon, right? I in my prediction, Amazon. I mean, I see it. Amazon's the biggest it's ever been, right? TikTok is amazing, all the other platforms is, but from a sales velocity, volume, customer trust, belief, it's the best and biggest I've ever seen it. Like brands that are doing well are doing extremely well, especially all the guys who dominated. Now they're dominating even more. What's your prediction for the next 2 years? Where do you see Amazon and e-commerce going?
yeah, I think that this is probably one of the best industries that we could be in as agencies. I don't even know if I consider. I guess yeah, I am an agency, a growth partner. I'm more of a tech partner, really. When you look at my business, I attach the teams. Of course, I'm doing the labor too, but I'm built. I attach into my proprietary software and systems that I've built. Right, and what really separates me is I have 7 developers. Right, most people have are heavy on the labor part of it.
Yeah.
I'm heavy on the software, and I suppose the labor part is important too, but I leverage. So I spend more money on better players, and then I leverage my software and tech, which allows my team to be better, in my opinion.
Okay, so that's very interesting to hear. What would you so with all the automation right now being so accessible and cheaper? Because before to build a software was a lot more expensive, no doubt about that. The last year and two, It's kind of got democratized. It's a lot cheaper to build this stuff. What would you say right now, automations? If you didn't have all this automation, how big would the staff be compared to how big it is now?
It would probably be double or maybe triple what it is right now, I would say. Um, it would be a mess. For me, I built my I built my business so I don't have to work. So if I wake up in the morning, I don't have to open Slack. If I really didn't want to, I don't have to open Slack. I mean, I love this shit.
Yeah,
I love scaling. Like, I absolutely adore it. Like, it's
it's
been
addicting.
my favorite hobby, and cost me a lot in life because unfortunately, when we sacrifice friends, family, all these things in order to build something great. Um, but I think it was all worth it when I look at it, because now I have my time back. Like, as you mentioned, I was 195 pounds back in February, so I had scaled a lot, right? And with that, I was about a year and a half or 2 years ago, I was 165, 170. That was my first big weight loss journey. So 230 down to 160.
Wow.
And from that, I still stayed healthy, but it was very hard because I was living in Brazil,
Hmm.
and agora eu falo Portuguese. So right now I speak Portuguese, but before, when I moved there, I didn't.
Yeah,
And with that, created a whole set of difficulties around optimization
of
and
course.
managing everything. So I had a full-time maid and a full-time cook, so everything was dialed in,
Hmm.
but the food variety was significantly different there,
Yeah,
and the quality of food was also. Everyone hates on American food supply. We have like Whole Foods, and if you spend money, you can get really good stuff.
Whole Foods is pretty good.
Yeah. So, with that, I had a skill issue. Everything is my fault, in terms of correctly optimizing. I should have gotten a better nutritionist, one, and two. If I had to go back, I would have lifted weights throughout the whole time. I made an excuse in my mind that was like, I'm scaling so heavy right now. I was like so deep into the code, and I wasn't. I was legitimately working 12 to 14 hours a day for like a year and a half straight. I I took a few vacations when I burnt out, but the majority of the time I was very, very dialed in. I actually literally like painted my walls black and like deleted the sunlight. So like you can imagine how unhealthy I got, right? So December I hit 100K a month, but I
Yeah,
also looked in the mirror and I was like, "What the fuck is this thing?" I was like, I was gross. Like, I mean, for me, right? And it's like, damn, I'm a man of discipline. I'm a business owner. I'm a leader, but I can't even lead myself in the physical world. Only in spiritually, I spend a lot of time spiritually and mentally growing, right? But missing the body,
it's a
especially when
big
we go
factor.
into it's a core component, right? And when we look at our higher power, I believe in God, and for me, God gave me this beautiful, beautiful body.
Yeah,
He gave me a Ferrari, and I'm not even going out and fucking driving it.
yeah,
And that really hit when I hit my short term goals for
yeah,
financial freedom. My business now ran itself. I was at 100K a month, and I was like, fuck. And then I look in the mirror and it's like, damn, what the fuck was all this for?
yeah,
So I went back on it, right? And it's just a matter of, I like to think I set the right systems up, like I have a coach every week that I meet with, and like I have everything, but my priority at the time was just scale at all
yeah.
costs. And
Yeah,
and
I feel
my
you on that.
my mentor, I have one of my awesome mentors. He's a very, very intelligent entrepreneur, and he always sat me down. He's like, Hunter, extreme lives require extreme sacrifice, and then he'd always say, Hunter, balance comes later. And not sure that's the healthiest ideology to take, but it definitely pushed me far. And you know how much fucking easier it is to lose weight when you have a fucking nutritionist, a fucking bodybuilding coach, a fucking cook? So much fucking easier. Like this shit, I'm not saying it's easy, like it's like a walk in the park, but man, all I got to do is listen to people and do it. Like the hardest part is going and driving to the gym in the morning. I don't even drive. I mean, Uber to the gym in the morning, but like,
No, but I agree 100% with you. That's I think balance is different for everyone as well, right? For some people, balance is 9 to 5, go home, be in the office, like stay with the kids. There's balance. Is balance. I mean, I have a kid that's 16 months, and I wake up at 6. I come back many times home at 7, 8, right? But when I'm there, I try to be there fully. So it's balanced for different people. I don't care about going out really. That's not something that I don't drink. I don't have a lot of these vices. For me, as long as I work out, I'm growing and I'm working. It's the three W's for me: working out, winning, and working. That's for me always been the case. Now, sometimes, as you know, there are things that happen. I mean, it's great to talk about the wins, but I'm sure you had some shit moments with the agency that things weren't going at all well because, as you know,
Oh,
business
yeah.
is mostly pain with some wins.
But my
And
worst, yeah. So back in January of last year, I remember leaving my office, like, and I had been working every day like a madman for a long time, um, and crying and being like, "What the fuck? Why am I such a failure? Like, why can't I get this business to fucking work?" And I had been, I was managing every account myself. Like, so I've been sweaty with it for a while. Like up until 20 brands, I was essentially managing them all myself, just like, like cracked out. Even though I'm sober, right? I've been sober for 3.5 years,
I know.
and it hit me hard. It hit me really hard. And I was living in Rio de Janeiro at the time. I remember I was like, I need to go for a walk, and I went and I walked, and I heard a voice that said, "He humbles you before you rise," and I was like, "What the
Mm,
fuck?" I was like, "This is weird." I wasn't too aligned with God at that time, but still, I was more spiritual, and I kept walking. Um, and I looked up, I saw the Redeemer,
oh wow,
and a friend of mine texted me a Bible verse, and then about 2 minutes later, my ex girlfriend texted me, "Do you believe in God?"
wow. What motivated you?
And the client that was on the line at the time that I was like, I need to close this client or I'm going to lose, sent me a Bible verse too, the same one.
Wow. I do believe in this 100,000%. Like there's signs. If you ignore them, I mean, if I have to convince you why God exists, I mean that's a different topic, right? It doesn't have to be God. It has to be some. There's something for sure, right? And for me, it's very similar. Anytime I've been through tough times, there's always signs and type of things that happen. They're like doesn't make any sense, right? You can't understand why it's happening, but for you to happen this all at the same time in Rio de
Yeah, it
Janeiro,
was like, even at that point, I was like,
come on.
maybe it's too. But yeah, the universe gives us signs. I'm a firm believer in that, and it's a matter of surrendering. The book that shaped my life was called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer,
I need.
spiritually. And that book, the premise is just let go and let the universe take you where you need to go. You'll meet the right people, you'll do the right moves. I didn't use enough discernment looking back, because I was just spiritually surrendering. I was just thought everyone was an amazing human like me, like not like me from an amazing, like morally,
Yeah, morals. Yeah, you have a certain level of morals that most people don't.
I have a very deep level of morals, and not everyone has that. And I've
Especially not
learned
in business.
Yeah, I've learned that discernment is also a very important part of the surrender. Um, so yeah, everything's blessings in life. Those darkest times as men, I've had a lot of dark times, you know, and I'm grateful for every second of the fire that forged me.
I love that. I think one thing I see with you that I don't see with most people is like even your network, Mina, Eddie, all of these guys that are killers. Like you try to always be around them. I think that's because they have issues as well, right? They might be 5, 10 steps ahead of you, but they have issues. They're dealing with exactly the same shit you're dealing, maybe at a different level. But I think seeing that with guys that are bigger than you in business also kind of gives you like, okay, yeah, it's always the same shit. You just need to figure it out.
Yeah, and information is my favorite thing to spend money on. When I look at my growth trajectory, I would not be where I'm at today without Mina. Just wouldn't be. Mina, not just from a systems perspective, but Mina gave me the permission to succeed. So when I started in business, really going after it, I sat down with one of my friends, and he was at 100 million a month on Amazon,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, Do you think I could scale like that?" And he legitimately put his hand. It was like 2 in the morning. We've been partying, and he put his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, "Hunter, there's absolutely nothing different between me and you.
Yeah.
There is nothing different between me and you." And because of that moment is why I became an entrepreneur to like the level I'm at now.
When was this?
Oh, this was in Miami, like 4 years ago, I'd say, probably
It's
something
not
like
not
that.
a not a long
Five,
time ago.
5 years ago. Yeah, I mean, I had always built businesses, but to the level I'm building now, like I'm I'm looking at 10 to 100 million now. I'm not looking at a million a year. Um, so it changed the frame, right? And then back in January too, for some reason, I wrote down on my whiteboard a few things. One of them was Mina. And funny enough, I was reflecting on this too. Mina gave a talk at Agency Founders, which is one of the masterminds I'm in now. And Mina said when he wants to meet people, he has people introduce him, with like warm introductions. So I had a few mutual friends with Mina, and I hit them all up, and I had like 4 people introduce me to Mina at the same time. He didn't follow me back for like the first 3, and then the fourth one, he's like, "All right, fuck it, this guy like really wants to talk to me." And then from there, he helped me for free for a while before I started actually.
And he was already killing it at that time. That's what most people don't realize. Because one thing is to help for free when you're not making money. One thing is to help for free when you're doing well.
Yeah,
It's a
no, he
different
was
level of
crushing it.
generosity.
Guy has an abundant mind, a very beautiful human. Um, and I have a lot of gratitude for what he's done for my life.
I do think it's your network is. I mean, everyone says your network is, but it does make a difference. It does make.
And
I mean,
network and execution, right? So I think what really separates me from other people, because there's other people in these networks too that aren't scaling at the same rate. A lot of them are
yeah,
scaling, and some scale up faster than me. The speed to execution is where I pride myself, and that comes from the video games. Like when as soon as I'm very good at delegation, so I have a whole set of teams and structure and task systems. And if I wanted to improve something on my sales right now, I just type in, I hit enter, and it'll send it to the sales, the whole pipeline. And
yeah.
then I have systems to prioritize and everything. So that being able to take action super quick is what allows, for me, I felt like what allowed me to scale a lot faster.
I think action is number one, two, and three.
Yeah, and unfortunately, or unfortunately for me, I suppose, the brain does take a large portion of that. The smarter, but then again, there's people that aren't very smart too that run huge businesses. So
I think smart's
it's
the more you learn about business, I think smart is probably the smallest part. Like how, of course, depends how you define smart. Like is going to Harvard smart?
I, I feel emotional intelligence is very important for
Yeah.
being able to scale.
Hmm.
And for me, I'm very emotionally intelligent. It's a blessing and a curse. I can feel people's emotions, and I get
Mm,
overwhelmed with too
yeah.
much people.
Yeah.
So like for me, I like spending a lot of time in solitude because it allows me to keep my energy clean,
Hmm.
and it allows me to really like when we're having a conversation, just from your body language and how you talk and
Yeah.
looking at you, I can make assumptions on, I make thousands of assumptions
Yeah.
subconsciously that are like, okay, is this how he grew up? This is his family life. This is, and all these different elements that go a lot deeper than my conscious even realizes, because I've
Mhm.
studied so much psychology and, going on my personal journey. Yeah, 3.5 years ago when I went sober, I was on testosterone, I was on Xanax, I was on clonazepam, I was drinking, I was on ketamine, I was doing blow, I was partying all the fucking time. I was living a rock star lifestyle, like crazy shit. Shit you see in, my 25th birthday, I got 2 midgets and was fucking throwing them. It was like shit you see out of a movie, right? Um, but I hit a point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know if I hit that, but my body was like, Hunter, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And when I went sober, my brain was destroyed. I had to relearn everything. I didn't know how to manage stress. I didn't know how to, I literally was scared to go outside. I developed agoraphobia. So
How long
from
did it
that,
take you to recover?
a long time. it took me, it took me about 6 months to be able to like really be able to
Function.
say I was like 70%. So I'd say like the first 3 months was like very brutal. It was very hard. I couldn't really go outside too much.
Yeah.
My goal was to go, I built small goals. So my goal was to be able to go to the grocery store.
Mhm.
So that was like my goal. And it took me, 2 or 3 months, and I was able to go to the grocery store. I'd still have panic attacks in the grocery store. I'd go and like things would set me off. And that's hard because I've been a nomad. I've been a traveler for years. I've been to 52 countries. I've lived in almost every continent besides Australia, and there's, I mean, a lot of parts. Some parts in Asia I still want to see, and specifically, I haven't done much of the Middle East or Northern Africa. But the rest of the world, I've pretty well traveled at this point. Um, so going from that to not being able to go outside, not having a business,
Wow.
was very hard for me. But I really leaned on spirituality. We are the medicine, and I just trusted the path. There was no guarantee I'd ever recover. God, there was no guarantee what I did wasn't permanent. In fact, it was quite the contrary. A lot of people are like, "Fuck," you know,
Statistically, you're usually fucked when that happens. Like statistically, it's very rarely for someone to stay on the right path, and especially after that level of.
the
And I mean,
partying. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and it's what it does after you. Like you even said, like it took you 6 months to kind of recalibrate and go back. People don't realize like the implications of this. And of course, I do believe that if that didn't happen to you, you wouldn't be at this level. I 100% believe that. Because I believe if you were sober at that point, you wouldn't be at this level. Because yes, with your mindset now, being sober at 25, 24, you'd be a higher level. But at that time, because look, addictive personality is a real thing. I think the best entrepreneurs and biz have addictive personality. Now they don't spiral in other stuff. Some of them do, right? But they have addictive personality. You're addicted to your business. There's no two ways about it. 100%. Why would you spend so many hours at something if you don't like it and you're not addicted to it? So I think that type of personality helps you win. The issue is controlling it. I think that's the big issue because you can spiral easily. I mean, I'm the same as well.
yeah, yeah. Spiraling's a real thing. During real life events. I'm not immune to it. I'm blessed to say that on the daily basis, I don't crave drugs or alcohol very much. I would say maybe very rarely, like big life events, like a breakup, for instance, can trigger the desire to escape.
Mhm.
Um, Typically, when that comes up, it is when I am lacking alignment with God, and I'm not trusting the plan. So I'm trying to control something where God is giving me a different guidance or a different path, and accepting that this is all part of the journey, and instant gratification, and kind of removing those elements, and just trusting, like, okay, why am I in this point of life right now, right? Like, why am I in, per se, like a timeout or for growth, or why did I go through having to spend 6 months trying to relearn how to go outside, and for me, a lot of that plans into marketing, right? Like, I would not be anywhere near as good of a marketer or leader if I didn't struggle on that micro level. Like, I
Mhm.
had to do so much personal work. It wasn't just relearning, anxieties. It was facing my traumas head on. It was healing through generational traumas. It was rebuilding relationships with my parents, apologizing for what I was doing, understanding subconsciously how I was acting, right? So there's like all these different elements that pushed me through, that allowed me to grow. And without that, yeah, I definitely want to be where I'm at now. Um, there's no, there's no, there's no question about it. People talk to me, they're like, "What the?" Like, I wake up and I know what it's like to not be healthy. I know what it's like to not be able to go outside and relax. I know what it's like to not be able to meditate. I know what it's like to not be able to eat healthy. Like, people take for granted so much. And I refuse. I would rather die than leave a life of mediocrity. I'd rather die, because I've been there. Every man has two lives: one when he's born, the second when he realizes he only has one.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had three. I've had a third moment like that too, where it's a nice reminder. But yeah, I refuse to live mediocrity. I will build something incredibly special for our humanity.
I love that. You remind me. I mean, you know my Amazon guy, right?
Yeah,
Steven. I've had a good amount of chats with him, and he's very spiritual as well. Like you probably can see it in his content a lot of the times because it's very Amazon, but he's very very spiritual, and he kind of has that. The guy says he's doing very well is not just about the money. I mean, we love money, right? You want to make money, but I think at a certain point, it's not about just making the most. It's about what you're doing and having fun. I think if you're not having fun, it's an issue. In long term, it's going to be an issue. Either you have to exit or you have to figure something else. Because if you're not having fun, if you're not growing, and you're not feeling like fulfilled by what you're doing, and especially if you're doing business that's 95% of your life, 90% of your life, it's all you do.
Yeah, it's a blessing. If there's like some smaller entrepreneurs out there watching, I would say keep going. It's the sacrifice is definitely worth it. It's hard, um, but the journey is honestly the beautiful part as well. And I think it probably is the most fun part. Like I look back and the range of feelings that I had of like, will I be able to make it, and proving to myself that I could make it, and like surviving those moments, like is irreplaceable
I
in a
know.
way.
That's
It
your
was
confidence.
they're very beautiful, beautiful moments of being able to surrender to God, surrender to something else, and accept that, whether it works out or not, I'm going to be okay, but having faith that it's going to work out. And another thing that I've observed, a lot of entrepreneurs, like for me, what I find that works really well is manifestation, writing down what I want and becoming so obsessed with it that my actions reflect it, and
Mm,
making sure that all my habits, my visualizations, my core values, I have a 40 fucking page document that covers, who I want to be,
well,
what
I'm
do I
not
want my
surprised.
partner to be, like it's very intricate, and I'm not holding it like this has to be my vision, but these are the core principles. I wake up, I read my 10 core principles. I am a man of God. I am, like a man of morals, right? I have 10 core principles. I reevaluate that, make sure I'm staying in alignment, my decisions are in alignment. And I find these things help a lot with that journey of just, in my opinion, it's pretty hard to lose if you can continuously
Improve.
stay aligned, long term.
I think most people lose because of lack of focus, alignment. They don't know where they're going. Like, I honestly, I believe 2025, every industry is big enough, right? People say Amazon is not big enough. I can show you 10 agencies that are killing it. I can show you 100 plus brands that are killing it, like actually killing it, not doing 50, actually killing. I mean, look, you know what Mina is doing in numbers. He's doing. He's killing it. He's not public about it every day, but he's killing it at a level that most people don't understand. My Amazon guy, Canopy Manager. There's so many agents, just the Amazon space, let alone all the other space you can think of. So, but I guarantee you, Mina and all these guys are focused at the level you're not. They're executing at the level you're not, and they've been doing it for many, 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 many years.
Yeah, it compounds, right? As you build the authority, in my opinion, it gets a lot easier because the factors that I talked about. You want to hire brands want to hire someone that has walked the walk, that has built these large brands.
Do you see
And
that now? That's a question. So compared to the first year, right, when you were trying to get to that first 10 and so on and so forth, compared to now, do you see that big shift?
yes, for sure. Yeah, big shift, big shift.
Because I imagine now, I mean, of course, you have the confidence of speaking with brands when you've done X amount so many times. You know that things work and you're current. So I think that's a big part as well, your authority, but also being real.
Yeah, I mean, the power is always within us, like the way I look at it in life is there's a series of words that you can tell anybody to get anything done. Like
Yes.
I could
Yeah.
become a billionaire if I knew the right set of words to tell Bezos. I just have to talk to him, you
I
know.
love that.
But you'd have to have developed the skill to be able to do it. So, I there's so much components to scaling a business, that I always had it in me. If I had to go back to the beginning, I probably would have worked for free. I think that would have been a smarter way to build
Yeah.
more
For
clients
killers, for
quickly.
real killers as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would have worked for free for the first 6 months, maybe. That was a big blockage for me building a lot of experience. Um, but yeah, no, it gets incrementally easier the more authority you have, in my opinion. But I also, again, I have coaches for every part of my life: sales, operations, like like weightlifting, like whatever the hell it is. I have a coach for it. So
How much
it's
does
it's
that
hard it's
invest
hard
in
to say
coaching?
because a lot of the psychology comes into like when you look at being a good salesperson. From it really is just understanding the business better, asking better questions, and building better strategies. Like that's what I learned, and not getting so deep because I think at a different angle that most people do. So when I try to explain my principles and how I'm thinking, people can get distracted and their brains will move in the wrong direction of what they're really trying to accomplish. So I guess I don't want to say dumbing it down, but yeah,
Sales are
dumbing it down.
selfless. It's not selfish if you're selfish in your sales because you're selling to someone. Like it's, and I think that's why being salesy is an issue because it's so selfish. For me, when someone is super salesy to me, I want to take your money. I don't see it as he can bring something to me, and that's why going into all that jargon of CVR, tags, all of that stuff.
You know, it's funny because the frame obviously is a big part of everything, right? So like your authority, how good you are, your case studies, but also like brands that come to me at seven figures, I'm like that's all you're at, you know, like that. Some of them will try to come to me with an ego, like I'm at 200K a month, 300K a month. I'm like, bro,
Yeah,
the fuck is this? Like I'm not
yeah,
trying to be rude. You know, you might be the king of your little town over there,
yeah.
but you were an ant. You know, I don't mean it to be a disrespectful way, but like that's how my mind has shifted,
I agree.
and I genuinely believe that. Like I look at it and I'm like, okay, do you see? Like it's the same thing with like people when I first started, like 100K a month, that's crazy. I'm like, bro, do you see these fucking
Doing
see
a
Canopy? Do you see
yeah,
fucking Mag? Do you see Trivium? You know, it's like
yeah. They'll be
I'm a
depressed at
fucking
these numbers.
ant.
They'll be out of business at these numbers. Like
Yeah, it's crazy, you know.
that's what
So
people. 100K is great. Yet, of course, if we look at it from a percentage of people, 100K a month isn't very impressive. Yes, but if when you start looking at the big picture of business, 10 million a month is not a big business, which is insane, but
yeah,
it's true.
that's fucking nuts. But again, like money, it's more like for me, lifestyle is really important, and which is funny to say because my lifestyle is me building scale camps. So like I like my version of like a good life, a good vacation is like I get a penthouse, like for instance in Colombia, I get a penthouse, 3 floors. I get a maid, I get a cook. I have my martial arts trainers come and train me every day. I had my boxing coach bringing me people from legit like the favela, and I was boxing, you know, one person a week and just like
Wow.
building up my skills. But I build these lives around work. You know, like I don't want to leave. I don't want to go out. You know, and yeah, I mean that's how I enjoy my life. Like in Cape Town, I January I did a 30 days in a beautiful villa overlooking one of the most beautiful parts of Cape Town, and I didn't even want to go outside to be honest. Like I mean I did and I enjoyed it, right? But I was having a lot more fun, you know, building my little sandcastle called Gigabrands.
I agree. For me, I've played video games when I was a kid. I wasn't super obsessed with them because then I started sports, started fighting, blah, blah, so on forth. But for me, business is the only thing that excites me to a level because it's always changes and it's always difficult. Like it never gets to the point of it's super simple. Like I figured that out. It's never for me at least. It's never. Maybe for some people it is, but for me it's always like I figure something out. Then it's another five things to figure it out, and then another five things, and so on and so forth. It's always something to do.
I think it just gets more fun the bigger you get, right? So I have, you know, we have when I look at the amount of hours on a monthly basis, we have around 2,500 hours being spent, and that means I'm like, you know, I'm able to build, understand, and build all these different departments and I build that structure and ideas, and then my team executes on it. So in fact, you just have more to do. You know, it's a different type of work instead of doing day to day stuff. You're doing a lot higher level stuff. And to be honest, this part of the business has been the most fun part. I feel that I've been in. Like this season of scale that I've been in recently has just felt like a dream. It's felt like this is what I always wanted to have.
When was the worst
And
time?
pardon?
When was the worst time of scale? Was it that 0 to
Oh,
20, 0 to 10, 0 to 5?
worst part of scale. Yeah, I think it was zero to 10 probably was the hardest. 10 to 20 was kind of hard for me too. After 20, I just grew pretty quick.
How long did it take you to get to that point as well, would you say?
Um, when I got serious about it, Like in January of last year, I was probably at like 14K a month,
That
something
is
like that.
crazy. You're 10x now.
Yeah, yeah, I 10x in a year, and I'll probably depend. It depends. It depends
Yeah, on a lot of
but
factors.
but on the trajectory that I'm on with the skill set and knowledge that I have, and the team, and the support, and the coaches, I personally believe that I only need like 5 to 10 brands to work with that are doing 40 to 100 mil a month, and I believe I can deliver so much value to them that I wouldn't really need to work with anyone else.
That's good.
Yet I also want to build some brands, take equity on them. There's so much possibilities. I suppose right now I'm just focused on being the absolute best at fulfillment, and I believe everything kind of falls in place when you have the best product
Yeah,
and you can push traffic to me.
yeah,
So
yeah,
people come to me. I have the best product. I'm good at communicating. I have amazing systems. Like this year, I have 4 or 5 case studies where I'm the fourth or fifth agency people have come to, and I've doubled their business.
yeah. That the people don't really. So case studies are funny, right? Because case studies can be manufactured. That's why, because you can create a case study, but then when you see, because when you say double the numbers, but you're taking it from 10 to 20 grand, impressive. But when you're taking
Yeah,
it
no,
from
these
30,
guys are like most of the ones that I talk about are probably at like 60, 70K, and then they come to like 140, something like that. And
and
that,
that
yeah, I mean,
change,
it's,
yeah.
pardon?
And that change 60 to 140, it changes their business and life if run correctly. It makes a big difference because 5 to 10, great, but 60 to 140, it
Yeah, no,
changes
I
their
mean,
business.
we're talking people
Yeah,
living on, this is 20K a month in profit to 70, like it's
yeah.
a big fucking lever.
But that's why I think there's case studies and case studies, right? Because you see some case study, oh, they 3x their business, but they started at 1,000 a month. Like, I mean, it's 3x, but it's not 3x. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That's the name of the game, right? I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, I don't think case studies is the best thing to look at when you're talking to a
I
team.
think jumping on a call is amazing, right? If I can jump on a call with Hunter, I understand Hunter. I think that's why every client that comes to me said, whoever you want to hire, be that an agency, be whatever it is, jump on a call with the person who's going to run this, or even that can be the sale, whatever it is. Jump with them and ask him a couple of questions. Ask him what a trick I like to do for any service that I hire in the business is I ask him for something that happened recently, or I lie about something. So, for example, I say Amazon introduced Rufus, and now you can't do PPC anymore. Something that's clearly a lie. But if they agree with me, I know they're not on their ball. Like, throw these curveballs, because getting an agency, if you get the wrong agencies, it can fuck your business. If you get the right agency, it can make a big difference to your business. It's very risky from a brand owner. I do understand that part. So you have to make your due diligence.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's definitely a critical decision. Um, yeah, and that's the nice part for me. It's like I don't need any. Like I'm at the point where I don't want to say money doesn't matter because it does, but like bro, I live a very modest life. Like for me, okay, yeah, I have like the cook and the chef, and I like having service things, but I'm like not materialistic at all. I don't really care about cars. You know, I just care about doing whatever I want with who I like.
Yeah.
Like I think that's my biggest thing is I like building with good people. I like building with people that are like me, that are challenging, respectful, smart. Um, and I'll turn people away if like I'll literally tell people I'm not working with you just because I don't like them. It sounds it sounds bad, but like maybe it's shifting a little bit now because as the business grows, like but if it's going to be a really annoying client or someone that I don't align
It's
with,
not
or
worth it.
like their products or I don't think are morally aligned, I have no problem saying no to people.
I think I've
And
heard Eddie say this headache per client. Was it something like that? Like how many headaches a client is causing you? I love that the thing. Like, and of course, the bigger you get, when you're starting out, I get it. Like, yeah, okay. But when you get bigger and bigger and bigger, you can kind of choose the clients you work with, and the good clients bring so much more. A bad client you can lose your top 5 A players from a bad client. Like, it can destroy your business, one or two bad clients, from a reputation standpoint, from everything. Like, it's not worth it, even at a small scale.
Yeah, I've been lucky. I've never, I fire people. So I had one client come on last year that had like crazy expectations. Wanted like it was insane. They were doing like 20K a month, and after
It's
like
always them.
they were being mean to my team and all this stuff. And I got them on a call and I was like, look,
Yeah.
I appreciate your trust. I don't believe that we're the right team to scale your business. And I refunded them their retainer, and I helped let them. I was like, do you need help transitioning? And they're like, no, we got it. I was like, all right.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
They had a
Respect.
6 month agreement, or I think, or 3 month. Normally, I do 6 month agreements. Um, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
this is like, I am not in business to have people like this, in my proximity. Like it's like you treat people with respect. I don't care who you are.
yeah, yeah. I don't care the numbers, and I think from the people you know now at the levels you know, and you see usually they're the most respectful and humble guys, and they treat you with a certain level of respect. It's usually the people who have points to prove. They're not at that level that they want to be. They're trying to be meaner, I would say. But that's one thing for me I don't tolerate. Look, everyone makes mistakes, right? We can mess up. That comes with the business. But for me, respect is number one, two, and three. We have to have a respectful manner. Like when we mess up and fuck up, I'll take that on the chin, but it's how you deliver something. It's very important for me.
Yeah, I feel as if it typically, like, being an agency owner has been a blessing because it's forced me to evolve a lot quicker. So I would be lying to say when I built my business that I told and treated all my employees at the level that my principals are. There was times where I would get frustrated, I would get angry, I would lash out.
Yeah.
And understanding the correct way to talk to people and like improving yourself and not letting my personal circumstances affect the way that I talk to people.
Mhm.
And I chose to do that work and evolve, and I knew that doing that work would allow my team to stay with me longer. And with that, I very, very, very rarely have a team member leave. Like it's very rare. Like I would say, like actual core team members, I've had the same team almost since the start. Like people haven't left.
Yeah. But
And that's because I do the work, right? I protect them. I make sure that they have time off. I make sure that we don't have mean clients like that, right? And I guess I was just blessed to see that pattern early. I
yeah,
was like, okay, this destroys businesses. Like
it
I'm
does.
just not even going to entertain it, and I just cut it off super quick. I even had a client like that was with me for a long time, like tried to pull some stuff, and this was like 8 months ago. I got on a call with him, and I was like, "We doubled your business in 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, stop asking and treating me like this, or we're not going to keep scaling together."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, now we have a great relationship. We've been together for 13 months now, and it's like understanding that there are so many elements to how you treat people, and breaking down and being able to identify where that reaction is coming from, where that trigger is being originated from, is a very important element. And I've noticed that the clients that typically are the most difficult are the ones that haven't done that work and or have a lot of things going on from a personal level where they aren't able or haven't had the information or haven't done the work in order to properly communicate. And I think it's stupid. I think it's really stupid. I think it just hurts people because when you learn how to treat people with respect and be nice, I am going to prioritize you. Like
Yeah.
that's just human nature.
Yeah.
If you are nice to your account manager, you are nice to your PPC manager, they are more than likely going to prioritize your account if you treat them properly. Like it's just humans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're rude, they might work on it, but they don't really want you to win.
Which is
Like, yeah, they want to keep the business because they don't want to get fired, obviously. Like, but I lead with love. Like for me, that's a core value. I lead with love. Our managers lead with love. You can lead with fear. There's a lot of people that lead with fear, right? I just feel like
no, I don't.
life is too fucking short to have people living in this fear state. Like there's so much abundance and love, and look at it like Mina. He took on a competitive, literally a competitor, and was like, here's the red carpet, brother. I'll see you at the top. And I've noticed that pattern with some of like the smartest entrepreneurs, because what happens is a guy like me starts building these crazy systems, and I'm like, oh, Mina, fuck, I'm gonna send that to him.
Well,
Or
but
it's like,
that's the
how can
point.
I give Mina value back? And what happens is you start building these like pockets of value all over the place, and it all flows back. It all flows back.
Well, I think that's the major thing, right? Because first, I think you can find whatever your mind thinks, you can find it, right? If you think Amazon is down, you can find reasons. If you think Amazon is going, you can find reasons. There's always proof you can find, however you see in your mind. So I think someone like me or someone like my Amazon guy helping all the agencies, competitors, because first they know there's so many clients and there's so much abundance. You can you cannot take all the clients, Hunter. Like however good you are, like as you said, if you
No,
get
dude, and I don't want them, man.
yeah, but
There's plenty those motherfuckers. I'm picky, dude. I only work with like nice people, like good brands, high potential. There's a lot of shit for these other guys. You
yeah,
guys have this.
and and then
Take them.
as you said, like you get another 10 brands at the current model, you probably don't even need to work with brands anymore. You just need to grow the current one. So there's another sea of
Bro, that's the crazy fucking part, man. Is like, they just keep upselling. It's like I don't need more people. Like my same clients, like they happily fucking pay me more money. Like it's been interesting to see that, because when you deliver the best service, like, and I have like, they're business owners. These guys aren't like, oh, I'm loyal to Hunter no matter what. Like these motherfuckers are out there talking to other agencies.
yeah,
They're getting hit up 40 times a month.
yeah,
They're getting sales pitches,
yeah.
and they just know like my service is better than everything else in the market, and if you switch, you're not going to get the same level of scale, and I'm the best deal, right? That's kind of just how it is.
And if you
So I
don't
think
believe
that
that,
helps a lot
I
with the
agree.
retention.
And if you don't believe that about your business, you're in trouble. If you actually don't believe that you're good at what you do, you're great at what you
I don't
do.
think I'm good. I think I'm the best
Yeah,
in
but
terms of like in terms of building what I have built at the level that I have built it from my angle and my strategy. I feel that I'm the best at what I'm able to deliver for a client. Unless you're like, if I was building my own brand, yeah, okay, that's probably going to be like, because I'm hyper focused and I have equity, right? But if I have equity in the brand too, and it all depends on the deal structure. The more money you pay me, the more I'm going to be focused on your account. That's just how it is.
I love that. I love that. Brother, last question, because I can speak with you for hours and hours and hours. I don't want to keep you for all the night. But last question for me is, if you start right now from zero, right? And all your skill set you have now, first, if would you start the agency again, the Amazon agency from zero? Would you start a brand from zero? Well, like what path would you take?
I fucking for sure would not start a brand from zero. That's a cash flow fucking machine, dude.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, if I had to start again from zero, I
Nobody
probably would
knows you.
work. I probably, honestly, I think I would work for a bigger entrepreneur. I
Hmm.
think that's what I would do. I would probably find someone that had a really good vision that I could 10x,
Yeah.
something like that. I feel like it's all about the game we play. So if I didn't have the skill set I have now, I think I would build an agency again. If but since I have this skill set now, I could go to any large entrepreneur and they would likely hire me, and that would supplement it. Um, and then I would get a bigger piece of like an exit of what we're
But would you
planning.
be able to work for someone based on how you're used to being in business, but for yourself? Because that's another question. Would you be able to
The
go?
bigger entrepreneurs aren't going to treat you like an employee.
Good
You're going
point.
to be KPI'd
Hmm.
for sure. But like, if I had an entrepreneur come to me and try to work with me, I wouldn't employ them. Like it's a different mind. You give them a box and
Yeah.
you give some parameters and KPIs, but you let that zone of genius be. So
I love that.
a strong entrepreneur would understand that I am someone that lives life on my own terms, and if you tell me what to do, I'm not going to work hard.
Yeah.
Like part of the reason why I work is I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
Like literally. It's like, I'm
Mhm.
like, I could wake up and move to fucking Turkey tomorrow, or I
Mhm.
could go back to Bali for a bit, or I could go fucking live in Brazil. I could work this week. I could not work this week. It's just, I can wake up and I can go to the gym and cancel meetings. It's like that's what drives me. So yeah, I just, not that I even do any of that stuff. It's just like
Yeah,
the
but the fact that
ability.
you
It's
can,
crazy, just the freedom of it.
but the fact that you can, for me, it's not about being able to buy it's not about buying the Ferrari. It's about being able to. It's about being able
Yeah,
to not doing it. Because if you can do it, you don't want to do it necessarily.
yeah. Just having. It's just it's a different power. I think a lot of it you can unlock. Like the same human in the same body with a different mindset is an incredibly different person,
Yeah.
right? So like if I clone myself and I had a clone version of myself that was insecure, it would be a completely different experience, right? So that goes to say how much and how important it is, your brain, your perspectives, your psychology, understanding and navigating through that. um so a lot of it really does just boil down to the mindset, I guess. I think I was trying to
Mm,
tie in there.
mindset, I agree. Mindset is strategy, of course, important, but mindset is tied to strategy because depending on your mindset is how you act.
Yeah, yeah, and there's nothing fucking different about these other entrepreneurs than, I mean, there are some savants, don't get me wrong, like, but
They're
really,
very few though. From what my experiences, they're very, very like
I
the
mean,
amount
when
of
you
work.
look at a guy like Elon, those guys are savants, man.
Yeah,
You'd be misinformed to think those guys' IQs aren't phenomenal, right?
they're
And you do
different
run into
animals.
people in business that, some people have photographic memory, like
Mhm.
some people have really high levels of memory retention.
Yeah.
Some people are really smart, right? Like there's so much to it. Um, and that's why everyone's different. Right? For me, I'm very good at AI and tech and coding and people, and that's agencies like a fantastic business for me. But if you're not good with people,
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend agency life. It's like, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, but that's why if you're not great with people, I'd probably recommend you start in doing e-com and just sell products because you're not
But
involved
the
with.
cash is so much, man. I don't think
I
it's
agree.
sustainable unless you have a large capital source. I mean, you can. That's how I started.
Oh, same, yeah.
I had done really well in crypto marketing as well as crypto trading,
Yeah.
and I had a lot of cash, and I was like, fuck it, we ball.
Yeah.
And I was like the epitome of like what you should not do. Like I was like, no research, fuck it, 2,000 units, and then I was like, fucking fast shipping. And then I was just like, fuck it, pedal to the metal on PPC. I don't give a fuck. It actually it worked really well. But there was a lot of lapses in my process, and actually what ended up killing me was an IP lawsuit.
Yeah.
So I had scaled. I think it was at like 50, 60K a month, and it was finally turning around. I'm like, hell yeah, we got this, boys! And everyone's like, we were pretty stoked. And then I got an IP lawsuit, and then they shut down my Amazon account. Then they held all my funds, and then
Yeah.
I had like 20 grand in inventory, and I had employees and staff, and I was like, what the fuck do I do?
But well, so that's the point, right? I do believe so. With your current skill set, if I give you 50 grand, you can probably kill it on Amazon with your skill set and team and everything.
Yeah, if
But
you gave me 50K, yeah, I mean it boils down to my time cost value, right? So like
you
if
wouldn't do it probably. But if you had to do it, you can do it.
if I had to do it and you gave me 50K, I could build a brand that would scale. I'm sure. Yeah, I don't think that yeah, for sure. And I could figure out how to raise capital and leverage, and I mean I could do it. Yeah. That's
Is
because
it the
I've
most
scaled
efficient
50
way?
fucking brands in
Yeah,
Amazon though.
yeah.
Like
Because I agree with e-commerce, there's a certain level of cash you need to have, but I also think skill is so important. Like, yes, if you start with $1,000, difficult, but 20, 30, 50,000 with this level of skill set, you can really play.
yeah, 50K. If you hired a team like ours and you had
Yeah,
50K in cash and you had a decent product idea, we do it all the time.
yeah,
That's not. I would say that's not very very difficult. The difficult part for me really does stem into the the bandwidth it takes between me getting my products and doing revisions and improving the product while I'm working on American times in China. So if I
Mhm.
was going to do that, I would fly out to, like, then that's the thing with Freedom, right? I'd probably fly out, go to the Canton Fair. I would
Yeah,
find a bunch of products that I like. And then from there, I would market research. I would identify, like, 5 products that I think would really scale. And then I would put 20, 30K behind each one. Um, Maybe more,
yeah,
depending on the product, the niche, the variables there. That might maybe that's what I do next year. I don't know. I don't want to get shiny object syndrome. I'm really good at what I do, so I'm trying to stay in the lane for now. But
I feel you on that.
surrender.
Yeah,
The right partner comes, the right person hits me up. Then
if it's meant to be, it happens.
yeah. I think I would love to have a strong operator that came to me that was really good at that part of the business, and then I just would run the marketing side. So
Uh,
that would
I
be the
think
ideal situation.
I think you need both. If you really want to scale a brand on Amazon, you need the operational part and you need the marketing side. One without the other doesn't work. As you said, if you run out of stock, it doesn't matter. Like ads and
Yeah.
sales doesn't matter if you run out of stock.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta have it. You gotta have it all, man. So yeah, it's been a pleasure, brother. I
Brother,
appreciate
thank you very
you.
much.
I appreciate you having me on. I feel like oh, shit. No, we're good.
Sorry for keeping you so long, brother, but
No,
it's
man, it's great. So I appreciate you having me on. If anyone needs to find me, Instagram at Hunter, YouTube is Hunter Harris, Amazon, and my website is gigabrands.ai. We're a tech company now. Huh?
thank you,
Cool,
brother.
man.
I would love you and leave you. Thank you very much, really. I appreciate you.
All right, brother. Happy scaling. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, brother. Bye bye.